Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. We're a little late. We have some special guests, which everyone will meet momentarily, so we wanted to take the opportunity to take a photo shot with them, but you'll be meeting our guests momentarily. So, Madam Clerk, would you mind calling the roll?
Kelly Morrissey. Here. Christopher Poulos.
Here.
Michael Riccio.
Here.
Victoria Triano.
Here.
John Barry.
Here.
William Diedick.
Here.
Tom Lombardi.
Here.
Don Maselli.
Present.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here. And Vice Chair Maselli, if you can lead us in the prayer.
Pleasure. Heavenly Father, give us grace this evening to understand that the impact we make upon this community is not just for today, but for the generations who will follow us. Help us to do what is right, and if need be, courageous. We commit ourselves, our decisions, and the town of Southington under your care. Amen.
Amen. And if I could ask members of the Webelos PAC 72 to come join us to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So come right up, guys.
Right here. Right. No, that's fine. Good job.
Thank you very much. Great job, guys. Okay, so moving on with our agenda, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, any other comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes pass.
I abstain.
And one abstention. Thank you, Councilman Poulos. Councilperson Communications. Vice Chair Maselli?
Well, first off, thank you again to the Webelos PAC 72. Amy Hoffman is the Cub Master Emeritus, and she's contacted me a couple of years in a row, and these fine young men needed to come to a government meeting to learn more about their local governments. So stay for as long as you want tonight, fellas. Thanks for being with us. I also want to mention an event that most of us on this dais attended last week, and that was the Southington Women for Progress community conversation about racism and racial colorblindness. Obviously, this was a very timely event that I was interested to learn had been planned months ago, but again, very timely with things that have gone on in recent weeks here in Southington, unfortunately. It was facilitated by representatives from the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center, and they are fabulous. They just really engaged all of us and opened up a dialogue that I think most of us, I think I can speak for most of us, that we found useful, and it was comfortable to engage, and hopefully we can move on from there with other events. I just was pretty impressed with it, especially those facilitators. Terrific.
I just want to bring up that, last meeting, we all decided that we would move forward with community conversations focused on equity and diversity within our community. And so I've begun to put out feelers for certain people. I want to make sure that we are moving forward as we look at policies and procedures. And one of the things I wanted to ask Attorney Shota, Town Manager Shota, I'm sorry. You're still an attorney, but, different function. But, Mark, I would like to see if CCM might have an expert in that area for municipalities. I really want the best that we can find to talk about things, to teach us, and to give us an awareness. I'm asking the police department to come so that they can explain to us their processes of training our officers so that they are ready and equipped to handle every emergency with the ability to deal with people the same, and in every situation making sure that a person is dealt with dignity and respect, and also other areas that we're going to be looking at. So I'm hoping, Mr. Chairman, that and of course all of us are in that in this. And so any conversation will be open to everybody. There'll be a time for public to make comments, but also for all of us to take part in this. And so I'm hoping that by the end of February, perhaps the first week or two of March, that we'll be able to hold our first one. And maybe quarterly to begin with. And but we're open for suggestions. Nothing is cast in stone yet, except that we want not only to have a discussion, but we also want to put things in place that would be structurally positive for Southington to make a great community, an excellent one. So,
I'll
that's
call CCM tomorrow.
Just a question on that. So,
Sure.
Is that separate from the group that
Yes.
the Board of Education is putting together?
Yes, the Board
They
of
would
Ed-
be talking about similar things.
Well, the Board of Education, has their hands full right now talking about the school system and the things that they are dealing with. They are more than welcome to come. This is under the umbrella of the council. And those things, the policy and practice of within our town, that the council is responsible for oversight. I'm sure Mr. Connellan is doing the very same thing with his community conversations as far as the Board of Ed goes. So, but they're, of course, always welcome, so.
Besides CCM, it's interesting that you brought this up, Vicki. A resident reached out to me who works for the Connecticut Community Foundation, and he said that his organization just went into these sorts of conversations and dialogues as well, and that they worked with two different consultants who actually do a lot of consulting with municipalities, exactly what you're talking
So
about.
if you
So
could
Mark
send-
Berardi actually forwarded this to me,
That's
and I
great.
said, you know what, we'll talk about it at
Let's
tonight's meeting. I haven't
Do that.
researched it all,
Yeah,
but
let's look at the names, and maybe we can talk and look at their resume or whatever,
Exactly.
and go with it from there, because we
Right.
want the very best, and so, yeah, great.
So on the same topic, very timely, I'm looking for her name, Lydia Brown, who's a senior producer for WNPR Connecticut Public Radio, had reached out to me for a statement regarding the very issue that we're talking about. So I sent in the following statement. I fully support the efforts of Southington Women for Progress in holding community conversations about ending all forms of racism. Southington is a community that is inclusive of all our residents. We are a community that consistently offers assistance for anyone in need. Our town council supports the equality of everyone and will not tolerate racism in any form. So that was a statement that I submitted for her at her request for the radio show that they interviewed, and that was timely just today.
Great.
I saw that,
Okay.
by the way.
What's that?
That's already been filtered through social media.
Oh, great.
Yeah, the NPR piece.
Mr. Ricchio.
Thank you. I'm sure I've probably stated before that I don't really read the Observer newspaper, so I got a call this week about some interesting reading that was there in the editorial, and I just wanted to say to the general public that the 9 of us that sit up here on this council are here elected by the people of the community to represent them, and if any of you were to call us with an urgent matter or whatever, I know I would go. I'm sure all 9 of us would go to your house or take a phone call or do what we have to do to understand the concerns of the community. And I wouldn't, must have been a slow news week the last couple of weeks at the Observer. I wouldn't be alarmed by things that you read in the Observer that council people are holding secret meetings or anything of that. It's a bunch of nonsense. I think several of us up here can speak from experience, having been hauled to Hartford by some former council people, unfortunately. We understand what the Freedom of Information Act is all about. We understand what private meetings are and secret meetings, and we also understand that we're here to represent the people. So in the future, if you have concerns about that, you can certainly call the town attorney, the town manager, if you're uneasy about calling someone on the council, but don't, because that's what we're here for. We can talk to people individually. We can take your phone calls. In fact, it's been on my to-do list for several weeks to call Hartford Healthcare, actually, to find out what their plans are for the Bradley campus, because I haven't talked to them in a while. So I would continue to call your council people and go to meetings that are hosted by council members. I mean, we all sat at a meeting the other night. Most of us were there, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't although there was a quorum of people there, we weren't participating in some illegal meeting. So please don't believe everything you read in the newspaper.
And on that note, if I can ask the town attorney just to update the council on where we stand with this relates back to the FOI complaint originally.
The one I spoke about last week.
Right.
Yes. I did actually hear from a representative at FOI on behalf of the commissioner. I followed up with a phone call. I'll follow up with a phone call. I just wasn't able to get in touch with that particular person today, but they did respond pretty quickly, so I'm pretty encouraged by that, and I'll report back at the next meeting what my conversation was.
And just again, to be clear for the record, and I know Councilman Riccio asked you last time, but if people reach out to members of the council and we meet with them, is there anything wrong with members of the council meeting with members of the public?
No, I think that would be part of your job, so I would encourage you to
That's
continue.
right.
The job that we
speaking
don't
to
get
your-
paid for, by the way. One other thing.
Sure.
Because I just want to mention, because I think that all 9 of us at this point have also met individually, and I don't know, maybe some paired up, I don't know, but with the people who are talking about public transportation. And we've been asked to sit down and to hear them out and to see the facts and figures and to garner more information. And I'm telling you, I'm starting to get paranoid. It's like, can I not, talk to people in the carousel when they're asking me, questions about things and, oh, well, what happened at the meeting the other night? And, it's all a bit much. And it's not one side or the other. I want to say it's all 9 of us.
Yep.
All 9 of us get asked to, of course, we have to speak with our constituents. How would we know the people that we're representing
What
and
they
what it is
feel.
they want of their local leadership? I'm
Yeah.
thudding, and it's bad for the tape, but it's been upsetting the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the attack on the fact that the chairman and the vice chairwoman are doing these community chats. That has been going on for a long time. I remember
Yes, it
Bill
has.
DiPaolo had them. I remember I had them. I remember many folks have initiated this. It's so important that people feel, hey, it's Thursday night or it's Wednesday night. I want to talk about the problem on my property, or I want to talk to somebody who understands what I need. That's what we do.
Exactly.
That's what we do. We're here for the people of this community, and I will continue to do it. And
So will I.
And I would encourage all of us not to get too verklempt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just do our job.
Councilman Riccio.
Is there any repercussions? I mean, I felt this way when we had a couple shysters on our own council that filed frivolous FOI. Is there any repercussions that people that do it on a regular basis? I mean, people need to take days off from work, go to Hartford, sit in hearings all day, hire representation, hire attorneys, for what I think a lot of us might consider nonsense. Is there any repercussions for that?
I think it'd have to get pretty elevated to have a sort of frivolous complaint to rise to that level. If you have a couple complaints, I don't think there's anything to say that nobody can file these complaints. I think the commission does a great job negotiating with the party that files, as we saw with the last complaint that was filed relating to Hartford Healthcare. I thought the staff at FOI did a great job just letting the complainant know what the laws were, what the parameters were, and ultimately that resulted in a withdrawal of that without us having to even go to the hearing. So I think they're pretty efficient with that. Again, we like to keep the lines open for allowing people to file those if they feel the need to. So it'd have to get pretty egregious.
Thank you.
But Mike, to your point, I think it's important, Carolyn, you have reached out on the council's behalf once you hear back from the official, because there were some allegations in the first editorial that we weren't privy to until we read it in the paper ourselves about
Exactly.
the finding from Hartford. And if that is in fact the case, then I think we have every right to hear it firsthand from an official in the commission. So I think that's important. I know you said you're going to follow up tomorrow.
Yep.
So I look forward to hearing
Yeah, we'll find out.
what they have to
Find
say.
that out for you.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
in addition, he cites that City of Meriden case. Could we get
Yes.
an analysis of that case, as how it doesn't apply to these facts? I mean, that would be my guess. I haven't read it, but, I mean, he seems to be,
Yeah.
That is the one he has continually cited. You're absolutely correct.
In that case, what was happening was, prior to town council meetings, the town manager would sit with the party leaders, so it'd be the party leader for one party as well as the deputy. So it's a total of 4 people from the council meeting with the town manager and I guess discussing in more detail what they would discuss at the council meeting. It wasn't just agenda setting, which would be allowed. So I think it was the fact that there were so many people from the council there that the commission ultimately found, and the Superior Court backed it up, that those meetings should have been public. So it's quite different from one-on-one meetings with constituents or business leaders.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one of the latest issues was there's some criticism or questions concerning the chairman's community chats that you are initiated to reach out to the community. And I look at those community chats as a very positive,
Me too.
informative, a relaxed atmosphere for residents to come in and speak to their elected officials. It kind of goes to the same thing as that many legislators do throughout the state. Many legislators hold town hall meetings. Well, I guess you could call community chats town hall meetings. I mean, it depends what you call it. It's the same concept. There's some legislators that call them coffee chats. So these are just outreach by elected officials to get a better feel what constituents are thinking or feeling or their opinions in a different, relaxed type of atmosphere. So very concerned about the criticism concerning community chats. Those are certainly very much legal. They are important to good government, and they go to what's happening throughout the state by many legislators that participate in those type of activities in terms of outreach with their constituents. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chairman Maselli, for having those community chats. And any criticism directed at that, to me, is just blatantly wrong. It's not what government's about. When you attack someone for reaching out and talking to people, there is no anything illegal going on at those meetings. It's fact-finding, it's information. It's very important for good government to have these type of community chats. So I want to thank you, and any criticism is just very unwarranted and not right.
Okay. Mr. Lombardi?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So since we're on the topic of FOI, I'll ask the town manager to update the council. At last week's department head meetings, and I noticed that there was a mention of FOI, so I reached out to the town manager last week, and I'll just let him explain to the council what the issue was, and so that's all I have.
If I may.
Thank you.
It's a growing problem for all towns. Perfectly honest, when I was a young lawyer, we used to have to, when we did title searches, we checked with all the town departments, and we checked with the building department to see if there any code violations or whatever. The world is different now, and people spend a lot of time in their offices. So what's happening now is, I'll take the building department, for instance. They get these FOI complaints, or FOI requests, where they say, okay, 52 Heritage Drive, are there any violations on that property? So what happens is, it's a real estate agent, it could be a lawyer, it could be someone in their office, and for the lack of a, we're so quick with our FOI requests that they'll just put the request in, email, and say, is there any violations, any building permits still outstanding, any CO inspections didn't take place? Because if you're an appraiser, or you're doing a title search on it, or you're doing a real estate agent, you're listing this property, you need to know all that stuff. So instead of going there, modern technology is when we put those in. So that's happening more and more. I guess it's our own fault in the fact that we're very, very good at getting the stuff out as quickly as possible. So yeah, they are on the rise, but I could say publicly that we cannot possibly keep up our good track record of turning it around in a very short period of time with these requests. So I've told the building department that's not your number one priority. Sure. Obviously, all you need to do is within 4 days, you have to say, we can get it to you within a certain period of time. A reasonable period of time, it could be a couple weeks, could be 30 days, it could be whatever. But it's not like it was before, where you actually went to the town hall and checked all the departments when you're doing a title search as a young lawyer. Things are different now. That was 30 years ago, and now everything is technology. So yes, that is a problem that we're facing.
Thank you.
Any other councilman communication? Yes.
Well, this is a good transition for you to talk about our next community chat.
Yes, and actually, before we get to that, I want to just follow up on a comment Mr. Riccio made earlier as well. So Gary Havocan did email me back on January 14th, just to share with me, I'm sure we've all seen it by now, that Hartford Healthcare was raising their minimum wage to $15 an hour for all their employees. So as a result of that email, I wrote back, is there any update on the status of the Bradley campus? He responded back January 16th. He stated, we are still working internally and conducting due diligence on the Bradley campus options. I do anticipate that we'll have more information in the next few months, at which time I'll reach out to you to plan our meeting. Looking forward to continuing our conversations around Bradley and its future. So again, that was January 16th, so pretty current. And again, like you, Mike, I was trying to reach out and say, where are we at related to the Bradley campus? So as soon as we get information, we'll of course share it with the public as well. And then finally, I do want to share that Dawn and I will be hosting our next council chat next Wednesday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. in the Finance Conference Room of Town Hall. This is an opportunity. Many residents may not feel comfortable coming to a public meeting that's televised and standing up in a microphone and having an audience here. It's a very informal setting, very public. It allows us the opportunity to hear concerns that residents have, suggestions, concerns, anything. We're open 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. once again next Wednesday in the upper conference room of the Finance Department office in Town Hall. Okay?
I have one more thing.
Sure.
I forgot. I just wanted to give a shout out to the YMCA for the Polar Plunge. I did participate. It was scary, but not as bad as I thought. I did run out rather quickly because I was cold. But I wanted to thank Tom for, putting that team together and giving us the opportunity to jump, and I will do it again.
Wow. Thank you, Kelly.
For you.
Excellent.
Sounds like she's coming back for next year.
Coming
Wow.
She's
Found
our,
your
she's our
partner, Tom.
representative.
Yeah. There you go.
Very good. Also, just another shout out for someone that works very hard for our community, John DeMello, who is very active in our Veterans Committee, is being honored by the Southington YMCA as the Person of the Year. And the YMCA annual event is next Wednesday as well, same day as the council chat. You can join us for both those events.
Right, because we're going to be leaving right at 5:30 as a
To
result
attend the-
of that next event.
Right. So please come out and support John DeMello. He does a great job for this community. So thank you to the Y. It is their annual meeting. Once again, that's next Wednesday at the AquaTurf, and I think tickets are still available. You can contact the Southington Y if you're interested.
And I do have one issue. Since you mentioned Mr. DeMello, actually, I was fortunate enough to be able to attend on behalf of the town council the Southington Elks Veterans Night, and Mr. DeMello was there, and it was great to see him there. But I want to thank all the veterans that were able to I was able to meet at the Southington Elks dinner, which was a wonderful event to recognize the veterans in Southington, and certainly we have to thank the Southington Elks for all they do for our community. Their outreach, not only when you talk about the veterans, but the Southington Elks do so much for our community. I remember speaking at an event where they were honoring police officers, and they certainly do a lot for our youth in town. So we're very fortunate to have such an active and great group of people at the Southington Elks for all they do. And thank you to all the veterans that the Southington Elks has recognized. And I know everyone here on the council wish they could be there, but it was a great proclamation that you wrote, Mr. Palmieri, and it was an honor for me to present it at the evening at the Elks.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
Okay, last call, Councilman Communications. All right, so we're moving on to special committees, much different than last month. We only have one committee that met since our last meeting, and that's open space, so I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Maselli.
Yes, okay. So open space and land acquisition met last week. A lot of information, unfortunately, was discussed during executive session because we are talking about private properties and whatnot, so we are not allowed to speak of those during regular session. But interesting to note is that Keith Hayden, our Director of Public Works, did come and talk to us about the proposed cross-country sewer line that will go across our Curtis Open Space property off of South End Road. Keith brought maps so that we were really able to see what would transpire when the old pump station is replaced. There will be a 20-foot wide swath of trees that do have to be cut. No matter what. There was concern by myself and Ms. Triano and Mr. Riccio at our last meeting We just didn't want to see clear cutting of land without any plan and/or purpose. But here's the good news. We're spinning this positively that our environmental planner, Dave LaValle, has been wanting to do some sort of a trail on that property for years. So now we will have our trail. You know, it costs money to go out and mark the trail and delineate and remove the brush and the trees and all of that. Well, all of that will now be done as a result of this project, so we will finally have an interior trail on that beautiful open space property. So still a little bit down the road from this project, but nonetheless, I'm happy that there are many eyes upon this project, and there is a plan in place, and hopefully there will be no veering from it, so to speak.
Great.
The other thing is that tonight, we will be discussing later on action on the open space resolution. The Open Space Committee is hoping to garner some matching state funding for some future parcel purchases that are in the works. This will start a new initiative for a certain area of town that is a major wildlife corridor that has some purchase viability now and perhaps in the future as well. And wouldn't it be terrific if we could get 65% funding from the state? But nonetheless, while none of the i's are dotted or t's crossed, we need to send information to the state now. And then, of course, nothing will happen before it comes to this committee and you know, one way or the other gets approved or accept. Nonetheless, the paperwork has to be sent in.
Okay. Any questions for Dawn about open space? Okay, so we're moving right along to the town manager's report and communications. So,
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Shota?
Last night, last meeting, I touched upon this where I made request an extension from the council for my budget. I want to thank the Speaker's office for confirming that the governor is going to give his speech on the 20th of February. As you know, the charter provision requires me, without a waiver from you, to give the budget on the 18th. I already spoke with Chairman Larry, and I thank Chairman Larry and his board for supporting an extension also. So I'm looking for an extension to the 22nd of February to give my budget to the Board of Finance, which gives me the ability to find out the revenue side of the state budget. Any questions on that?
Very reasonable. Any questions?
I do
Mr.
have a question. Is this due to the governor being new, and then next year he'll be back on?
There's a state statute that says that the governor, if he's new, he can request an extension. Normally, it would be February 6th, but he can request an extension, and the last day, I believe the last day of the extension is February 20th, so it's going to be the February
Gotcha.
20th date.
Thank you.
So he is entitled to do that, and he was granted that permission to do it. The second item is for the Signton High School Roof Committee. As you know, you've already approved both the contractor and the architect for that. Part of this is the reimbursement. The state of Connecticut reimburses for school projects. It's approximately 53% reimbursement. The state needs resolutions, and these resolutions have already been reviewed by Mr. Romano, and if there's no questions, we'll be looking for action on that tonight.
Any questions? Okay.
The next one is a memo from Mr. Perillo. This is for a tax abatement, which received the unanimous approval of the Seed Committee. It's for Midcon Properties. They're building a 3,300 square foot pre-engineered building with approximately 6,000 square feet of storage, and that's at 49 Birch Street, which, as most of you know, is 177, which is the one-way going south from Plainville. That is the commercial tax abatement, which is for real estate only, and it's a 7-year plan, 100%, 50, 40, 30, 10. Any questions on that?
Okay.
If there's no questions on that, Mrs. Maselli already stole whatever thunder I had on this one.
Sorry.
This is the resolution for the open space, and obviously the town will be applying for open space grant money, and the resolution is necessary to send to the state. Any questions on that? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. So we're to the town attorney's report.
It's the
Attorney
earliest I've
Fletner.
ever spoken.
Wow.
Don't knock it.
Yeah, right.
This-
Don't jinx
right.
it.
Well, in the exciting news zone, on the December 10th meeting, you referred on 824 to planning and zoning with regards to the installation of the water main in Plantsville. At the last meeting on January 15th, the Planning and Zoning Commission did extend a favorable referral for that project to proceed, and that will be ready for action tonight.
Any questions for the town attorney? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So the microphone is now open. It is public communication, so we will open the microphone for any resident that would like to come forward and speak. We'd ask you just to state your name and address for the record, and we'd ask residents to limit their comments to 5 minutes. So the microphone is open for any resident.
Crickets. Crickets.
Mr. Fischillo, as you make your way up, I'm going to remind you before you speak, please, it's 5-minute limit. Mr. Fischillo, 5 minutes, please. Mr. Fischillo, if you want to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then we can start your 5 minutes.
My name is Celio Fuscello, 82 Alton Avenue. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I want to say, the last time meeting I was here, you did a 3 big lie. You, Christopher Palmerai, 3 big lie. I didn't insult you. I told you what. First, they said the attorney met my family. No, I met the attorney at the house. There was nobody at my house. Okay? Second lie was that Mr. Riccio was trying to help me. Never happened. Okay? The third lie that you said it was 20 years. It's about 40 years. 40 years. For this thing, I want to start to look back to what I call original sin. I give it to Madame here. I know when she started to work under the GDP power many times. This I used to pick up. You pull me engaged, and then he said nobody said anything.
Can't hear you unless you're in speak.
Oh, no.
What kind of, the country is beautiful, everything is beautiful, but what kind of government logo that we have? I never dreamed that come to this nation and it be so miserable. And here is what Mr. Victor said. In 2002, I just want to say, I have heard about many years this. And I thankful to Marcus Shard, the philosopher into education and also the manager. It is very clear that many years ago, the zoning, the lot that Mr. Fuscello toy had, he never had. That means that I'm a stupid a dummy. I never had. I buy property. And I thought, you know, if you buy property, you don't know what to buy. I'm sure you know what to buy. You don't spend the money to buy anything. That's what I bought. All of these lots. And Cressy Jones said if I ever make it the other way. Today.
We'll pass it down?
We'll
We'll give it back to you.
Okay? Now, I want to be a good man. I'm here for over 50 years. My uncle carried American flag for 33 years. Don't make me stupid, please. Because I'm now. I might be in the college like you did on the street. I learned a lot of things. And I know long ago, for the immigrant here, there is no place. Immigrant is no place. Because you slave. As America general speaker to the nation, speaker the democracy, when they come here, you step them down. And
That's a good question.
I honor America. Free, not play. I don't get paid. And I bianc off in America here in town. You ain't got for me. And I clean the road. Look here, spend thousands of dollars to clean the road. These are my children.
He said this is my children.
When I spend, as Sokolowski said, whatever I have to do, I have to do.
I'll pass it down. One's good.
And I listen to them.
What's that?
Because, he was until the end. And then he. Eh?
Did she not do the timer?
Yeah, I come here to cheat anybody.
It's been 5
Well,
minutes.
please. I was unable to send my children to college after associate. What the hell can that? Listen. And then you even put the lien on the property because I couldn't afford, and you put the lien. What kind of America you?
Okay, Mr. Vischillo, your time is up.
Mr.
Mr. Vischillo, your time is up. Okay, I'm going to call a 1-minute recess, please. I'll reopen public communication after that. 1-minute recess.
I want to pay, I want to You are a thief. Who you teaching the kids? I'm a liar. Ought to be shame if I'd be teaching the kids in the school this way.
Member of the public that would like to speak? Last chance. Okay, so I'll close public communications. Just once again, for those of you watching, if you're tuning in for the first time, we want to share, Mr. Frischillo, we do allow any resident to come speak. It is a public meeting. We do allow, microphone is open. Mr. Frischillo has spoken to the council for the past 30 years about the same issue. So just to clarify that, I once again want to thank Mr. Riccio. Councilman Riccio who has experience with real estate and tried working with Mr. Frischillo to assist him. That is what I was thanking Mr. Riccio for and acknowledging at the last meeting. And I also once again want to acknowledge and thank Attorney Futner, who did take the time to meet with Mr. Frischillo privately. We're trying to do whatever we can to help him. And again, this has been going on for over 30 years. So I apologize to members of the public and wanted to explain that to all of you. So with that, we'll move on to old business. First item on the up for action is the request for the extension of the town manager's budget.
Mr. Chairman, I will make that motion to approve the request by the town manager and proposing his budget to the council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Just want to thank you, Mark. I think this makes a lot of sense. Rather than trying to put in mystery numbers like we had to do, especially last year, it's better to have a little bit more knowledge before we finalize everything. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Excellent. Looking for a motion for the Board of Education resolution for the Southington High School roof replacement.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Looking for a motion for the tax abatement for 49 Birch Street.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the tax abatement. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Triano. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is action on the 824 for the Southington Water Department. First of all, just like to thank the superintendent for being here this evening. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions before I'm looking for a motion?
Yeah, I would make that motion that we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just thanking all the parties working together for that.
Excellent. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Next is action on the open space resolution that was mentioned twice earlier on the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Great. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Moving on to new business, tax refunds. Mr. Dietzick?
I will make the motion to approve the tax refunds itemized in the town council packet.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Great. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Last item up for action this evening is two appointments. Both are due to resignation. So the first one with the Apple Harvest Festival Committee, Dave LaPrey, as we know, is now in a coordinator position, so therefore he resigned as a member of the supervisory committee. So just looking for a motion for a new member.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to nominate our town engineer, Annette Turnquist, for this position. And I just want to personally congratulate Dave in his new role as coordinator, and I think Annette will do a fine job taking his place on the board.
Great.
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, welcome aboard, Annette. And item 2 is the Ethics Board alternate. That was Chris Shanley Buck. As we know, we appointed her to the Fire Commission, so she needed to resign as an alternate on the Board of Ethics. Just looking for a motion to table.
Motion to table?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
We have all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that is tabled. And it is a little after 1:15. Just looking for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait.
Oh, sure.
Please don't anybody shoot me here, because I know we don't want to belabor a point, but I just pulled up the GIS during the recent commotion there. We're being, because I saw a map go around, we're being shown lots on a map that are 39 and 40 feet wide. For the benefit of the public and the council, you cannot physically build a home on a lot that's 40 feet wide. If you go, I looked around the different neighborhoods. I think some of our smallest lots are on Parkview or up in the Berkeley neighborhood. Those lots are 60 and 75 feet wide, and the houses are tight. So you can imagine, take 35 feet off the width of those, it's impossible. So back in the day, those lots on a map were used, you would accumulate lots. And if you go over to North Summit Street and John Street, you can see exactly what happened. Some are duplexes, but a lot of them, they were accumulated. So if you wanted to build a house, you had to buy two 37.5-foot wide lots or two 40-foot wide lots just to be able to put up one house. So they were lots on a map, not building lots. And I'm really saying it for the benefit of the public because I know you guys all know that. But if you ever doubt it, just go on the GIS. It's free. Just Google it. And you can see, go to those neighborhoods up and around where we were talking about, and you'll see exactly what's going on. So
Thank you for clarifying that, too.
Mr. Chairman, I would make
Yes.
a motion that we move to adjourn this meeting.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
to adjourn. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. And once again, Cub Scouts Webelos, thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Webelos. Oh, this was second. This is second.